What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Heavyweight Nation News. Today, as you can see, Matthew is not here. He's kind of MIA at the moment, so we're joined with the man, the OG of OGs for Heavyweight Nation. We got Akil here, the man who started all of this. So we're gonna go ahead and hop right into it, man. Today was the U.S. Open Finals, and let me just say, some incredible matches. First off, some awesome action, some crazy stuff we're gonna get into later. So we'll kind of start with 57 kg. We saw, obviously a lot of people were favoring Nick Suriano here, but sadly he did fall to Zane Richards 3-3. Zane won on criteria, and a great match. Awesome match to see, very close, which I think a lot of people thought this match was going to be close. So Zane will now head to Final X, and he will see Thomas Gilman. So big guy,
Yeah,
ahead of him. So it's gonna be awesome to see.
I think there's going to be a fun one at Final X. I don't think there's too much of a chance that he beats Gilman. I think Suriano looked a bit drained the whole weekend, and Richards took advantage of it. I think, again, everyone wants to see Suriano versus Lee matchup. I just don't think that, again, the whole Lee pulling out thing, a lot of people have their own opinions on it, but he didn't look 100%, obviously, and he didn't look in great shape either. Suriano just looks kind of sucked at 57. We kind of thought he would make the move up to 61 till 2024, back in 2021, but after his loss to NATO, he just kind of not there. I think Gilman takes 1 and 2. I don't see it turning out how Gilman versus Vito did, but I think it's maybe somewhat competitive, but it's definitely Gilman too, is what I see happening.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I think this is Final X is going to be all Thomas Gilman. I think I agree 100% into.
Yeah.
Um, I think he's the guy at that weight. I think a lot of people said if Spencer Lee was there, it'd be a different story.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think Thomas Gilman is the guy at 57.
Yeah.
So
And something else at 57, so there was this card that went down this weekend, the PWO PWW Wrestling League. I think it was in Kazakhstan. This was the fourth card. It's like, I think there's some kind of building similar to UFC style model. They had Guyev versus Abukarov. Abukarov just lost in the European finals. He was 57 kilo world champion, beat Gilman. Last year, he lost up at 61 to Hartunyan, who beat Seth Gross for bronze. Last year, Abukarov's back down to 57. He lost to Guyev 3-0. So if Russia's back in the mix, we could see a World Finals rematch in the semifinals potentially.
yeah, and I believe it has been announced that they are back
Yeah.
for World. So
Yeah. I
that'll
know
be
there's some stipulations behind it.
yeah. So that'll be exciting to see as well. Getting some of those Russian guys back into the brackets.
Yes,
So
sir.
61 kg man was a show. Let me tell you, the main man Vito went out there and did, I think, what a lot of people expected him to do this tournament. 54-second tech fall over Austin DeSanto. And last night, I'm going to have to eat my words here. I said I thought DeSanto was a bad style matchup for Vito, but he didn't give him a chance. He went ahead, got a dangerously fast takedown, locked up a tight lace, and just ran it. And the match was over. And it was, in my opinion, probably one of the best performances of tonight. I mean, obviously, you have to favor some other matches that happen later on, but
Yeah.
to start off the show, second match, getting a tech fall in under a minute was pretty impressive. And Vito's a guy who we knew, he came on the podcast with me and Matthew, and he told us, looked us dead in the eyes and said, I'm a better freestyle wrestler than I am folk style. And we said, all right, that's if that's true, it's gonna be crazy out there for everybody. So in the case
Yeah.
of Vito, he will go ahead and he will face the winner of World Team Trials. So we might be able to see another Vito Austin DeSanto best of two,
Yeah.
best
Best
of
of
three,
three.
sorry, best of three.
Yeah.
Um, but I think that's pretty much Vito's spot at this point. I mean, nobody in the field looked like they even had the opportunity to touch Vito this tournament. And
Mhm.
I mean, if this is only the start to his freestyle career, let me tell you, he's starting it off the right way.
Yeah. And Vito's pretty young too, so I was gonna say this. I'm not entirely surprised, like when they got the Mad guy out of hand, but to take him down as easily as he did from neutral speaks to that in himself. I think does have really bright future in freestyle, which is something a lot of people looking forward to. I think his pace, just being able to control center very well and move people, kind of holds that. The World Team Trials does become a lot more interesting because you have DeSanto, you have Seth Gross, who I wouldn't count out getting the win over DeSanto there. And then you have Dayton Fix, right? Fix did lose to Vito in freestyle at the Olympic trials. So I mean, but again, Fix is one of the most accomplished freestyle wrestlers in the country. He beat Gilman for the World Team spot 2019, Tech Gross in 2021. I think that's not something you can look past there. I think the biggest question about Vito is how does he fare in a best of three, especially against a guy like Gross, who we've seen get progressively better in every single match. I do think Vito will face Seth Gross the final X. That's just going to be my take there.
Yeah, I think that the Gross DeSanto match was not a true showing for Seth Gross. I think DeSanto is very good wrestler, and that's taking nothing away from him. But I agree. I think we could definitely see a Vito Fix match go down 100%.
Yeah, I just think no matter how many times you wrestle DeSanto, you can't fully prepare yourself for the level of intensities that come at you with. So, but Gross is very good at making adjustments. I think he'll figure it out. I think Fix is the biggest question here.
I agree 100%. So moving on, this match really, in my opinion, shocked, I think, probably everybody out there. I think we're talking about 65 kg here, where last night we saw Beau Bartlett get his hand raised, and I think up until about an hour after, everybody thought that we were going to see Beau Bartlett, Joey McKenna, and then it does come out that Nick Lee actually won the match between him and Beau Bartlett on criteria, tied up 10-10. And then Nick Lee comes out and just absolutely shuts down Joey McKenna in the second period. I mean, at the half, I want to say he was what? He was down by
It was 5-0.
5-0. Yeah, he was down 5-0 at the half and scores 10 unanswered points to go ahead and solidify himself for a Final X match. So I think probably one of the craziest comebacks of the night, but incredible wrestling out of Nick Lee. And I think this also speaks waves on how good young Beau Bartlett is. Beau Bartlett has a huge future in freestyle wrestling for the United States, because if that's a guy that was 10-10 with Nick Lee, who had a 4-point move in that match as well, and you see now Nick Lee beat Joey McKenna 5-10, you think, wow, Beau Bartlett could have won the whole thing.
Yeah, I think if anyone in the country is going to have the chance of beating Yanni in a best of three, it's going to be Nick Lee. Obviously, Zane's not at the weight anymore, but I feel like Zane was the perfect guy to beat Yanni, even though you put them against similar level competition with the world stage. Yanni's probably going to perform better. McKenna's, I don't want to say been falling apart lately, but it hasn't been his best showing. Henderson didn't look too great. I know there's a bunch of weird stuff happening on the backside tournament. Bartlett looked very well. He's definitely a guy to look out for. National title watch next season if he wasn't already on your radar. I think I have to stick with Yanni here. I think if Nick Lee's gonna get it done, it has to be the sweep. Because again, Yanni's a guy who does a very good job at picking up his pace throughout every match. Because if you go back to last year's Final X, him versus Evan Henderson came down to the wire in the first match. Second one wasn't necessarily close. Back in 2021, Joey McKenna beat him in the first match. And then the third match, he teched McKenna, I think 12-0 was to make his first world team. But even looking at the world stage here, there's some hammers coming back. You have Mamedov from Russia, if they are competing there. Odaguro, who's still the undisputed number one this weight class, coming back too. Tamarachar from Mongolia, who beat Yanni, and then the reigning world champion Buzad from Iran. So definitely a weight class to look out for, especially domestically. We're finally going to have a solid guy there for the first time in a while. So definitely excited for that one.
I agree 100%. I think it's going to be exciting to see Final X. I'm excited for Final X. I think that's something that is going to definitely be interesting. I'd like to see a lot of these matches go to a best of three. I almost wish the US Open finals were best of three. I think I don't know if I think some of these matches wouldn't have went the way they did. Um so that's just my opinion. But
Mhm.
speaking about matches not going the way they were supposed to, going down to 70 kg where Tyler Berger snuck one on Sammy Sasso from Ohio State. Um, Sasso's leading the whole match and got a little bit lenient. They took a stalemate whistle, and then Sasso just let him in on the legs, man. And Berger was able to get a takedown, and Tyler Berger beats Sammy Sasso 10-9 to go
Yeah,
ahead and solidify his spot in Final X.
yeah.
So
I think it's definitely good. It's one of the more underrated matches of the night. I think biggest story we haven't touched on. One seed Alec Pantaleo
yeah.
goes down round one to Jacob Butler, who was just committed to Rutgers, I think, yesterday.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of guys would just forfeit out of tournament at that point. Your world team hopes are crushed. Wrestled, I think, 7 or 8 matches back to place third. So, I think that's something worth noting. But I know
100%.
again, a lot of people aren't watching the consolation brackets at the US Open. So, that is what it is. But just to see Sasso and Berger get to the level they are now, I don't think anybody would have really projected that out of college. Sucks when you lose to two of the best collegiate wrestlers ever. Losing to Jason Nolf, Yanni, and then O'Connor, I think, was Sasso's other loss. But I think Final X isn't going to be too close. I think Zayn has found his groove at 70 kilos, but I do think Berger has the tools to maybe make something happen.
I think this is all the Zane train. Choo choo, the Zane train's pulling away in two in this one. I think
Yeah, I think
I
so
think
too.
Tyler I think stylistically, I think Sasso's a better match for Rutherford. He's a little bit taller, a little bit longer. He likes guys in on him, in on the shots. I think that would have helped Sasso a lot, but I think Zane is just so good, and I agree with what you said 100%. I think he finally
Mhm.
is now adjusted to his full form at 70 kgs. So I'm
Yeah,
excited to see Final X go down. I'm
yeah.
excited.
Looking forward to the world stage too. I know Little Yazdani was the favorite to win last year. Obviously, the whole forfeiting matching up with Israel first round, that whole thing. Not going to get into too much of that, but I think Zayn is definitely a guy who could be looking for a world title this year.
A
Obviously, the
world medal for
finals.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, he won winning silver last year, right? Finals obviously didn't go his way. He just exploited that leg lays pretty quickly, and Narakuni got the tech. But I think obviously Penn State masters that, making adjustments. I think if he wrestles to his ability, there's definitely a chance he can bring the Oklahoma gold.
100%. I agree 100%. And talking about Penn State guys here, we had a battle of the brothers at 74. We saw two parts of Penn State's legendary Murderers Row go at it in the final at 74, where we saw Jason Nolf go ahead and pick up a big victory over Vincenzo Joseph. And he will now face a very large opponent with Kyle Dake being the U.S. representative at 74 kg. So, I mean, Nolf looked good. He looked really good. I think, especially last night against O'Toole, I think he looked even better tonight against a guy like Vincenzo Joseph. Um, Scary fast. Probably some of the fastest hands we've seen. So I'm excited. I personally think Nolf had really good matches with JB last year. I think that there's a possibility that we could see Nolf maybe sneak a match here uh against Dake. But I mean that's very
Uh,
out of pocket statement. I think
I wouldn't say that, to be honest. I mean, Nolf was the only person who scored a takedown in the meeting of Final X last year, right? I think his gas tank was a bit of. I don't want to say his gas tank was a bit of a question because he still dominated those matches, right? Chenzo comes out to a 4-0 lead. Shenzo's able to, has obviously been hitting these big moves in freestyle for a while, iconically. But I think Dake is probably one of the best at managing a match. And especially against a guy like Nolf who he wrestles, I think
probably daily.
it's the only way. I don't see Nolf taking Dake down off an offensive attack, is the way I want to put it. If Nolf can sneak a takedown, the problem is Dake is strong and he's just gonna walk you around the mat kind of like he did last time. I think a lot of people aren't gonna like this Dake in 3.
I could agree with that. I think I could settle with Dake in 3, but you got to also remember Dake, making the move to Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. These are probably guys that have put their hands on each other more times than we could count.
Yeah,
Nobody really knows what those matches are truly like in the practice room.
yeah,
So I would be excited to see how that goes.
yeah. And
So
I don't know if that necessarily benefits anyone. To be completely
yeah,
honest with you, I think it's a lot more high flying in the room that's going to be there. I think Nolf, when he needs to be, is a very smart and contained wrestler. But you saw even with him being so close to Dake, there's still a couple guys in the gap in between where he is. He lost first sport from Iran U23 world champ, I think that was. So I mean, he still has a little bit to go, but Dake's spot at the top could very well be threatened this year with Kadi coming back, Solkozanov looking as good as ever, and then obviously Chimiz was in the mix. He's kind of looked like he's been on his way out. Obviously, so is probably Dake in a few years, but should be a very interesting match at Final X into the World Championships.
yeah. So heading in to our next match here, we saw a very, very contested match between Chance Marsteller and Alex Derringer, with Marsteller being able to sneak it out 3-2. So Marsteller had a great tournament. I think last night he had a really awesome match as well. And today he got in there and got it done against, a guy who has been known in the senior level. These past 2 years, seeing the growth that Marsteller has had has been awesome to see. I think he's a guy who we could see stick around here for a while. But no shade on Derringer, man. He came to wrestle today, and he came up a little short.
Yeah, I think Ringer looked healthy, which I think is good, more than anything. Obviously, I thought him versus Storaci should have been a lot more competitive match. I mean, obviously, Storaci got injured in that match. I'm pretty sure you guys already talked about this yesterday on the episode, but no, Ringer looked solid. I think he held position very well, was able to manage his matches very well. I think I don't like that the refs got into that match, to be completely honest. But again, it is what it is. Can't really do anything about that now. I think Marsteller is finally transforming into that guy that we all knew he could have been, and now he finally is becoming. He stole a match from Burroughs last year, Final X, right? But the thing about beating Jordan Burroughs is, if you're gonna beat him, you're not gonna beat him in match 3. So I mean, I'm gonna go with JB here. I
I'm gonna
think
I'm gonna go a little wild here. I'm gonna go Marsteller in 3. I think Marsteller wins the first one, loses the second one, wins the third one.
I think you got to beat Burroughs in 2 if you do it. I'm gonna be completely honest. I would
You might
not
be
be
right.
surprised if that happens. I just we've seen the trend over and over again, right? Imar sneaks a match from Burroughs, 2019, I think this was.
Yeah.
Last match was like 9-0. Right. Same thing with Marcel was like 7-0, I think. Who's the one to beat him in 2? Kyle Dake. Right. Obviously, I'm not comparing Marcel to Kyle Dake. At this point in their career, I think Marcel is a phenomenal wrestler. I think he's becoming a smarter wrestler too, which is maybe takes the edge. Burroughs has looked vulnerable this year, I think. But I know in everyone's hearts they want to see him. They want to see him make the team.
Yeah.
Biggest name in USA wrestling for over the last decade. So
Yeah.
I don't got much to say about this. I think Burroughs takes it.
He is Jordan Burroughs. That's all you could say, man. I think
If you want to pick Marsteller, go for it. I'm not.
I think people who aren't even wrestling fans probably know who Jordan Burroughs is at this point in his career.
Yeah,
So tossing it over to another young buck who is able to secure himself a match at Final X. We will see Aaron Brooks in the Final X matchup against David Taylor. Another war between the Nittany Lion Wrestling Club. But we saw Aaron Brooks have an incredible match tonight against Zahid Valencia. One of my picks to be top matches of the night. I think Aaron really showed his mentality, his mental strength in the sport. And I think he really had to dig deep for this one. And let me tell you, he was putting it on him at the end there.
yeah. I was a bit surprised by this result. I thought Zahid was going to take it. didn't look like he was having his best performance the whole
4-0 at the
tournament.
half. Zahid was up 4-0 at the half.
Yeah, I think he took him to his back, right? If I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean Brooks's pace is just not going to go out. I think we've seen that once in his college career. That was against Miles Amin, but yeah, he didn't look great. But I think David Taylor's David Taylor, right? Um, Taylor and two.
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
I'm
not a
sorry,
lot.
like I don't know what to say.
There's not a
I
lot to
think
say on this one. I think is Aaron Brooks a very dominant wrestler? Yes.
mhm,
But is he David Taylor? No.
yeah, and I
He
think
has a he has a lot more work. He's very young. Same situation as Bartlett, has another year of college left. I think we're gonna see this Penn State team come alive next year. I mean, in
mhm,
my opinion, they could go 8 for 8 pretty much, I think. No one would really be surprised about that. But
I think that's a stretch, but I think the record's at 5 right now for national champs. So I think Kale's trying to break that.
I agree.
If they can do 8, this is the greatest team in history, and it's never going to be touched.
I agree.
But
I'm gonna take Taylor in 2 here.
yeah, I think I want to say one of the matches is going to be kind of competitive. The first one, similar to our turn we saw with Zahid, but I think Taylor's overall just mass is able to just wear on people so well that the
He's a
second
big
match against
dude.
Zahid was just
He's a
yeah.
big
Taylor's
dude.
was like looked just as big as Jaden Cox is dead 92, and Cox is pretty massive himself, right? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it's two techs, but again, I do think Brooks could be a top 5 guy in the world at this point.
I agree 100%. So hopping over to 92 kilograms, another match that shocked a lot of people. I want to say Mike Machiavello is able to go ahead and score a tech fall over Colin Moore. We saw another leg lace, another guy fall to the leg lace. And let me tell you, man, a lot of people in the beginning of this, before the U.S. Open happened, it was all Colin Moore, Nate Jackson, Colin Moore, Nate Jackson. No, those are the 2 guys going to be in the finals. And Mike Mock came out there and said, "Nah, you can't sleep on him." So Mike Machiavello is going to go ahead and take whoever wins the why am I blanking? The team trials, the world team
Yeah,
trials. He's going to go ahead and face a lot of people are going to assume in the world team trials. That's when we'll see Colin Moore take on
Nate Jackson.
Nate Jackson. Yeah, I'm like blanking right now.
Yeah, I think this is I think an unfortunate result for Moore. I think he didn't look healthy. Obviously, I'm not going to go out here and make any excuses for him. I don't know what happened, but Machiavello has some interesting matches, if I say. Right, like he's beaten Moore in the past, but then he's also been teched in the first period by him. Right, I think
Yeah,
it's just
it was
one of
his
those
day
things.
today.
I
It was
think
his
in a
day
best
today.
of 3, Moore is definitely going to be favored, but Nate Jackson has been the harder matchup for Colin Moore. So, and that's granted, we see that.
And who comes out of the challenge tournament? Who goes ahead and now has to face Mike Machiavello?
Could see Valencia bump up to 92.
I don't think once you wrestled the U.S. Open at weight, you're allowed to do that. But
Yeah, I have no idea what the rules are, but that would be interesting because I think Zahid has. Does Zahid have the frame to fill 92? Possibly,
oh yeah,
possibly.
he's a pretty big dude. I think he could probably
I don't think he
92
beats
out.
either of them because I know Nate Jackson probably just goes cram on his ass.
Nate Jackson, I think would be, in my opinion, I think he's probably the favorite if you see in a Final X. But to each their own. Everybody has open their own
I'm gonna
opinion.
go Colin Moore if he's healthy. If he's not, I think Jackson come back and take it. But as far as the
Here's the
whole U.S.
thing.
Open goes,
Do you think
Machiavelli
do you think Machiavello beats Nate Jackson
again.
at the yeah, do you think he beats him again at Final X?
I think there's a bigger chance than you think.
I agree.
He's already beaten him once, but
I think this is Mike Mock's year. I
yeah,
think this year
yeah,
he came out and looked unstoppable at the Open. He really did.
yeah.
He goes ahead and beats Nate Jackson, and then the next night beats Colin Moore, 2 guys who were pretty much hand selected to be the 1 and 2 seed by every media outlet out there right now.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
mean, performance of the tournament by far, I think Colton Schultz probably had a better one, but we still got the women's side to go tomorrow, which is good. Have some fun matches too.
yeah, we got the women's U20, U23s, all that kind of good stuff is still going on right
Yeah,
now.
we'll
So
probably put out recaps for that too, I think, right?
yeah, I saw uh Aiden Otto, shout out to you, getting yourself a little U20 Greco championship there. I saw you hit a nice little backflip as well. Shout out to Gable there. But man, a guy I was impressed with sadly fell tonight to Jaden Cox, who bumps up to 97 kg. The reason that we're gonna have to have a guy represent at 92. He came out there, man, and close in the first period, close in the first half, but the second half was all Jaden Cox. But I'm impressed by a no-time All-American, unseeded Isaac Trumbull. Let me tell you, the word around town is that he's going to end up taking an Olympic red shirt next year, and Heidley's going to go up to 97. I think it's a great idea. I think this kid has the making of a champ at 197 pounds. I really do. I think the way he wrestled this tournament was incredible. Last night, he had a great performance. I think Isaac Trumbull is not somebody that we're not going to see again. I think 100% he's going to be a guy for Team USA in the future.
And if I'm not mistaken, he won the U.S. Open last year.
Yeah,
Beat Cam Caffey in the finals.
yeah.
I don't think there's much to talk about here. I think Cox was a clear favorite.
This is
Typically
all.
starts off matches slow, finishes them
But
with takedowns. I mean,
he's got
the matchup is yet to
Superman
come.
waiting for him at Final X. In my
Yeah.
opinion, Snyder in two.
Snyder in two again. First match probably close. Second match probably a blowout. I
I agree.
think Snyder again probably the most underrated guy on Team USA. I don't know if this is a good matchup for Cox, but he's kind of stuck in a shitty situation here.
He looks
Can't go
big.
86
He looks
anymore.
mean.
So, and I think Taylor cutting down to 86 probably Texan
Yeah,
just because gonna be so sucked. Going up to 97, he has a chance, but only one of them can be there, and
it sucks.
you get
It
past
sucks
Snyder,
thinking
it's only gonna
that
get harder.
like it has to be one of them. Like you wish it could
Yeah,
be both of them, but I'm sure the cut for Cox was a lot harder than we saw.
yeah, of course.
I mean,
I
the
mean,
guys that were doing the talking at the tournament said that he got up to 250 pounds in the preseason. So whether that's true or
I don't
not,
doubt it.
I don't doubt it. He's got the frame for it. I
He
mean,
sweats.
he's he sweats a lot too. He's a big dude, but uh and I mean no surprise here, 125 kg, the Olympic gold medalist, pretty much in my opinion he's unstoppable. We saw Gable Stevenson go ahead and get a tech fall over a very good Nick Wazowski. I mean, Gwiz is one of those old heads at this point who is so smart in the game, but Gable just went out there and just put it on him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything to talk about on the domestic scene with Gable, but something Gwiz did, and I think did very well, was just hand fight, being able to clear ties very well. Kind of, it wasn't going to win him that match, but it
He
extended his life in it a bit.
he
And
was the
I
last
think,
guy to beat Gable Stevenson, though.
yeah, like 4 years ago. So yeah, that's enough, right? And Snyder's the last guy to beat Saji Live, is not?
Yeah,
Is he? Yeah,
yeah,
probably.
yeah. He is. I
But no,
think.
I think the matchups we all are looking for against Taha Ghul, Gina Petrashvili, Amir Zair,
Zaire, I'm excited to see him
Mukhtar from
wrestle Zaire.
Mongolia, that's a good one. Rakhmov from Uzbekistan. I think if he's even still competing, I think that guy's going into MMA. But
I want to see him wrestle. I want to see Gable wrestle Zaire.
yeah, I don't know if Zair's going to be their guy anymore.
True.
Also, I read something that Gasempor won't be competing
Really?
at 92. It said something about a stroke. I don't know how uh credible that is. It said Iran news source, so I'm just gonna go with that. They said he wouldn't be competing at some upcoming event. Hopefully, that doesn't mean the World Championships. Hopefully, we see him. Don't take my word for it. Go Google it or whatever. But I think at heavyweight, we're in for the most talented group of big guys you've ever seen. I think it's
100%.
only going to keep getting better. I think guys like Hendrickson are following in the footsteps. Obviously the match didn't show, but guys who wrestle with this I don't care attitude, just let it fly and have the athleticism to do that at that weight class is just incredible. And I think again, Gable showmanship just
What do you think a score
he's
of a
in the
match
backflip.
between Mason Paris and Gwiz is?
I think Wiz takes it.
Yeah,
I think it's close, but I think is it close? I think Wiz is too high IQ for a wrestler
I
right
could agree with
now.
that because
I
obviously, because Zilmer is not wrestling this year,
Is he
the
not coming back for the World Team Trials?
he didn't accept his bid. No.
He didn't have a bid to Final X.
Oh, he might be.
Yeah.
I don't know. He wasn't at the Open,
Yeah, no, that's kind of the thing I'm looking for because I think
so we might see Zilmer at the World Team Trials.
yeah,
We
Zilmer
might
would be the
not.
one seed. Then we have Gwiz Paris semifinal most likely,
And
and then
Hendrickson
Dom
being the
Bradley is back.
Dom. Yeah, Dom probably would be the
The
4.
OG,
Hendrickson would be in the
yeah,
5.
I think
I think Gable takes it no
Dom's
matter what.
probably gonna announce his retirement. I want to say next year,
You
right?
think?
He's like 35.
I think
We
that man
we
can
we
wrestle
gotta get we
forever.
gotta get our guy back on the podcast though.
We do. We need to talk to him again.
You can be your co-host.
I think personally, Dom Bradley can wrestle forever. And
Yeah,
and the crazy thing for me is you got to think about it this way from our aspect. This guy is number one of the most down to earth people you could talk to on this planet. Great family guy, super nice guy, an amazing coach. Those guys at Mizzou adore him, and we know he's a huge fan of us. But the man always places top 5. He has not been a top 5 guy in the United States
yeah,
since he started wrestling freestyle.
yeah. And I
He
think
made
these guys
he made
are.
3 world
Yeah.
teams. He continues to
Did he
place
make a
top
world
5.
team?
He made 3.
When?
I don't know. That's what the guys on Flow said.
I mean, national teams.
Maybe he made 3 teams.
I know he lost to Gwiz in the finals of 2017.
I
And
don't know.
then I don't know. He
He was
did
on
beat
3
Tervel
teams.
Dolognev though at the U.S. Open in 2013, I think.
Yeah,
But dude, like I think these guys are going to be missed once time goes on.
I agree. I
The
think we're gonna see
guys
that a
like
lot in the next 5 years.
yeah, like
We're
the
gonna
guys
see how
uh
much longer does JB have in his tank? What do you think the wrestling
he
expectancy? How
said
many more
2024.
you think?
I really wanted to end well for him, but I don't know.
I think that's not something crazy to say though.
I
I think
think with Nolf, Marsteller, Ringer, and all these, Ringer's probably going up to 86, but these guys at 74, Burrow's not having to bid to the finals immediately is it's gonna be a problem.
yeah, that's another thing too. Is Burroughs doesn't have an automatic bid, so.
Yeah, Burrow's.
But don't
I
worry, we will be there to cover that for you when it's at Penn State next year. Heavyweight Nation will be at the Olympic trials. Don't you worry. We will be there in full force. We will be producing content. We will be at
Do you have the
probably the
finals
Bryce
matches for
Jordan.
tomorrow?
What'd you say?
Women's finals for tomorrow?
Yeah.
You have them up?
Send them to me. So we
I'll pull them
got
up real quick.
we'll shout them out a little bit. Yeah. We'll shout out the women. We got the women's finals tomorrow. Obviously, we us here at Heavyweight Nation love women's wrestling. I'm trying to get together for probably I would say probably the next month. We're gonna do a whole week of women wrestlers on the podcast. We're gonna do 7 episodes of women, all the top ladies at the Olympic spots. And we're getting them all together. We're gonna do seven different podcasts with 7 different women to represent US. So we'll have some college girls, some Olympic level ladies. We're gonna show some love to women's wrestling here in the next couple weeks. So stay tuned for that as Akil's over there gonna pull up the women's finals
All
from
right.
tomorrow.
All right, we got them up. 50 kilograms. Sarah Hillebrand, I want to say sitting in final X. Alyssa Lampy wins by fall. Audrey Jimenez defeats Aaron Golston by tech. Oh wow, tech. I think this is a fun one. I think Jimenez had a great performance. I think she might take it. Samara Chavez over Amy Fernside, which is 18-17. Okay.
High scoring
Katie
match there. Holy
Gomez
shit.
over Iowa's Felicity Taylor. That should be another interesting one. Lauren Mason versus Alicia Hawk. I think Mason takes that one. Alexander Hendricks versus yeah, Xochitl Mota Pettis. That's a fun one. Hendricks, I think, went up against Helen Maroulis. I mean, whoever makes it, unfortunate.
Yeah,
But
unfortunate for them. Yeah,
I mean that's just how it is. 59, I want to say is who's in the 59? Miracle?
maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I probably shouldn't be saying this on the podcast. But Michaela Beck versus Maya Nelson. Give me Maya Nelson in that one. All right, 62 is Caramello. Yep. Jennifer Page versus Adago Nachuku. That's gonna be a fun one. Page made the special wrestle off, I think, against Carol Miracle last year. I want to say Page got a tech in one of the matches, but lost the best of three. But this is gonna be a fun one. 65 Macy Kilty, Emma Bruntel. Again, two very good wrestlers. Should be a fun one. Now, the weight class that we want to talk about, 68 kilos. Tamara Messcott, reigning Olympic and world champion, climbed her bid to Final X. Next up, Forrest Molinari, probably going to be one to get the spot. She is facing Alexandra Glod. I think this goes for Forrest, and I think she books her ticket to Final X, and I think they're going to have a 14 trials too for this. So I think that's going to be something there. 72 kilos. Rose Cassiope, sister of Tony Cassiope, you know.
Is that Gomez's sister
Which one?
at the top?
Katie Gomez?
Yeah,
It might be.
I'm not sure. We're not gonna assume.
I know Gomez's sister is a really good wrestler.
Yeah,
Joy Lewandowski. We'll
I'm
go
going
with
Cassiope.
Cassiope.
I agree.
Just because of the name, just because
Just,
the name.
just because
But
Big Tony, but yeah,
the feature match of the night: Adeline Gray versus Kennedy Blades.
Kennedy Blades,
Adeline Gray's.
Blades all day. It's changing the guard. Young Blades. I know.
I don't want it to be, but I think it might be. Adeline Gray was losing 8-0 in her semifinal match against Diamond Guilford. Got 3 cautions in a row.
Oh yeah, cautioned her out. Yeah, cautioned her out. Yep.
So she won, losing 8-6.
Yeah.
That's honestly insane. I think the last time I saw a caution DQ like that was Guiz versus there. That was.
I like Blades. I like
she
Blades.
pinned a McCoyed?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
I like Blades. I'm telling you.
Bro, we got dash. If you gotta pull out the mom strength, I don't know.
But you never know.
I really think if Adeline Gray wins numbers, I think Adeline Gray at this point is tied with Maroulis for the best women's wrestler in USA history. I think this is a fun one. I think this is one a lot of people want to look forward to. We're gonna have a fun recap tomorrow. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, I think Blades she's at the level now.
I think she was at the Olympic trials too. I just think.
Yeah, well, she was. I think she was pretty. I think she was injured at the trials.
Yeah, but I don't think she's being Tamara. No. But again, Adeline Gray come back giving birth to twins. I don't want to say it, but it looks like she's just in the finals because she's Adeline Gray, not because she's still a level above everyone.
I think she's still a level above everybody. I think Kennedy Blades is just right there.
I don't know. I think that semis match was a little too sketch for me.
Super young though. The Blades are super young, and they're both so good. I mean,
whatever happens, incredible
bright
career.
Future. Yeah, bright future for Blades, and obviously
Adeline Gray.
Yeah, Adeline Gray has nothing to lose there. So, got the women's finals to look forward to tomorrow. Anything huge happens in the U20, U23 side, you'll see us talk about that a little bit tomorrow.
Yeah, we got some big names too, right? Competing.
Yeah, Rocco Welsh, Gabe Arnold in the same bracket.
Isn't Bassett there? Forrest,
Manville.
Is Lilidol in it?
Yeah, Lilidol.
Yeah. Who's his name? Davino's another top guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be some fun stuff there. Get ready for a recap of that.
Yeah.
Might have to get some of these guys back on the podcast or
Yeah,
on the
a
podcast
hundred
for the first
percent,
time.
100%. Yeah, I agree 100%. I think some of these guys they've grown so much since we talked to them maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago at this point. So we're gonna be excited to catch up with some people. Look forward to Women's Wrestling Week, man, and just we love it. Wrestling's back. Obviously, we had a little hiatus after nationals. I think we did an awesome job giving you guys some content, but we're happy to see some scrapping back out there for Team USA, especially. So
Yeah.
it's been another episode of the Heavyweight Nation podcast. We'll see you guys later.